Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for this skill, you are going to be classifying figures of speech. So, what is figures of speech? Figures of speech are words or phrases that use language in a non literal or unusual way. They can make writing more expressive. So, these are forms of expression. So, we're going to go over the different types of figures of speech. Alliteration is the repetition of sounds at the beginning of nearby words. So, what a lucky little lady you are. Here you have that constant beginning sound of the L. That is alliteration. Next type of figure of speech is an allusion. An allusion is a brief reference to something or someone well known, often from history or literature. I'd better get home before I turn into a pumpkin, Leela remarked. Turn into a pumpkin is from the story Cinderella, so it is referring to the story Cinderella. An idiom is an expression that cannot be understood literally. Its meaning must be learned. So, for instance, the assignment was a piece of cake. So, literally, a piece of cake is a piece of cake. However, figuratively used as an idiom or a form of expression, a piece of cake means something that is easy. The assignment was a piece of cake. The assignment was easy. A simile is another figure of speech. A simile uses like or as to compare two things that are not actually alike. The cat's fur was as dark as the night. So fur is being compared to night using the words as. A metaphor is another figure of speech that compares two things that are not actually alike without using the words like or as. So, the snow formed a blanket over the town. Snow is being compared to blanket without using these words like or as. The next type of figure of speech is onomatopoeia. This involves a word that expresses a sound. So onomatopoeia are words that imitate a sound. So the scrambled eggs hit the floor with a splat. Splat is a word imitating a sound, which is an example of onomatopoeia. The next type of figurative or forms of figurative language or figure of speech is personification. Personification is giving human characteristics to non-human things. The trees dance in the wind. So trees is an object, but trees can't dance. Dance is a human action. So trees are being personified, which means they are taking on a human characteristic. A pun is another figure of speech that involves using a word or phrase in a humorous way that suggests more than one meaning. A great new broom is sweeping the nation. So, in this phrase, sweeping the nation, it is being used in a humorous way. This phrase, sweeping the nation. Verbal irony involves saying one thing but implying or meaning something different. People often use verbal irony when they are being sarcastic. Olivia seems thrilled that her car keeps breaking down. So if someone's car is breaking down, they would not be thrilled. Each breakdown is as enjoyable as a punch to the face. If someone is getting punched in the face, they would not find it enjoyable. So those phrases imply one thing, but they mean something totally different. Okay, so we're going to be reading different sentences, and we have to pretty much identify what type of figurative speech is in bold print. So here they gave us the example. There's nothing I love more than skipping lunch, Mr. McMillan told the flight attendant when he learned that no food would be available on his cross-country flight. So nothing I love more. So we need to determine if this is verbal irony or an allusion. So verbal irony involves one saying but implying something different. He says, there's nothing I love more than skipping lunch. And he said that once he found out there is no food available on the flight. That could be a form of sarcasm. However, let's look at the definition of allusion. So I can scroll back up. And I'm looking at the definition of allusion is a reference to something that is well known, often from history or literature. And this here is not making a reference to anything that is famous. So this one here is verbal irony. Okay. It says, which figure of speech is used in the text? Maria's phone slipped out of her pocket, landing in the toilet with a plop. So I need to determine if plop is onomatopoeia or is plop verbal irony. So let's take a look first at onomatopoeia. It says onomatopoeia involves a word that expresses a sound. So words that imitate sound, such as splat. So here is plop. So this one is onomatopoeia. All right. Next one says, which figure of speech is in this text? I thought I'd forgotten how to play with the boomerang, but then it came back to me. So is it a pun or is it a simile? I know that a simile is a figure of speech that compares two things using the words like or as. In this phrase here, nothing is being compared. However, if I go down to look at the definition of a pun, it says a pun involves using a word or phrase in a humorous way that suggests more than one meaning. So I thought I'd forgotten how to play with the boomerang, but then it came back to me. So this person's thought about how to play with a boomerang came back to them, just like when you throw a boomerang, the boomerang comes back to you. So this is being used as an actual pun. I'm going to do this last one. It says, which figure of speech is used in this text? When I was a teenager, reading was my ticket to foreign lands. I traveled to India, China, and Antarctica without ever leaving the comfort of my home. So here they gave an example of a simile and metaphor. I know that a simile compares two things using like or as, and I know that a metaphor compares two things without using the words like or as. So when I was a teenager, reading was my ticket. Reading is being compared to an actual ticket. So this one is a metaphor. Okay. So you are going to use this page here as a reference page for all the different types of figures of speech, along with examples to help you determine or identify the type of figurative language or figure of speech that is being presented in bold print in each of the sentences. Once again, you must earn 80% or higher on this particular skill, and if you've already completed this skill at 80%, then your goal is to reach 100%. Good luck.